Right, let's start to look at the team that you will need to support those numbers as you scale from 10 million to 30 million ARR. I love this quote from Job van der Voort, who's the CEO of Remote, when he spoke at SaaStr Europa earlier this year. Every time your company doubles in size, you have to think of it like a new company. It's not enough to just iteratively improve each of your processes and teams. You really need to imagine you're back at the bottom of the mountain and plan a new route to the top. At your current scale, your team probably looks something like this. You might have around 100 people in the team in total. And of those, 70% are in some kind of go-to-market role, whether that's marketing, sales, or customer success. And of those, around 40 will be sellers, maybe SDRs, might be AEs, might be account managers, but people in a customer-facing role. As you scale up towards 30 million ARR, that team is going to increase dramatically by more than double. So you'll have around 250 people in your team. Your go-to-market will increase from 70 to around 125, and your sellers will double from 40 to 80. A dramatic increase. And let's look at how that go-to-market function might be structured. So today, you'll have a structure similar to this. The CEO is the key person that has the overriding responsibility for revenue end-to-end, supported by 3 VPs. Your VP of marketing might have 3 different team leads with 15 individual marketers focused on demand gen, focused on brand, focused on product and creative. Might have a VP of sales with 5 different sales directors and different teams. That might be an SDR team. It might be an SMB, mid-market enterprise team. It might be a team of account managers, but all set of sellers focused on customer-facing roles. And then you'll have a VP of customer success that might have a couple of team leads and maybe 10 customer success managers looking after different tiers of enterprise, mid-market, or pool customers. Your revenue operations team at this stage might start being built out. You might have a VP of revenue operations and then 5 RevOps team members focused on some systems, data, and processes. At 30 million ARR, this team is going to have scaled up in some different ways. So firstly, you're likely now to have a chief revenue officer who is the first person that you reach that has full experience and responsibility across the entire revenue engine from marketing, sales, and customer success. On the marketing side, you might now have a CMO instead of a VP of marketing. And within that hierarchy, you'll have some VPs and maybe around 20 different marketers focused on different aspects of the role. You'll now have a senior vice president of sales that sits under that CRO and has responsibility for all of your sales activities. That might include an international GM, either within this hierarchy or out on their own. You'll have 4 or 5 VPs, and underneath that, a number of sales directors and around 80 sellers covering your SDR, AE, and account management functions. And within your customer success team, you're now led by a VP of customer success. You'll have individual teams, again, looking at strategic accounts, enterprise, mid-market, and maybe some pool accounts as well. You'll start to bring in some onboarding teams as well to support the smooth onboarding of those customers as they transfer to the success team. And your VP of operations is now leading a team more than double the size, around 12 people covering strategy, process, pricing, data, and systems. Now, one of the questions that comes up a lot as you go through this scaling is whether marketing and the CMO should report up into the CRO, who has overall responsibility for the revenue function. And it's important to take a look at what's involved in marketing, because it's a lot more than demand generation. And in a SaaS business, it can often be confused that it is purely around demand gen and product marketing. Within the marketing sphere, there are a number of different areas. The two that we think of most often from a revenue perspective are growth marketing, also called demand marketing. Demand gen is about attracting and bringing customers in through the front door. And product marketing, where we are helping to educate our customers and our partners around the products and the solutions that we provide. But those are just two elements of the marketing responsibility. Of content marketing, which might include partners, it might include our social platforms, it might include events that we're running. Comms and PR, where we're working with analysts and journalists to raise the knowledge and awareness of our organization. Field marketing and events, both online and in person, our own marketing events and supporting partners. And then supporting all of this and the entire company, both our internal and external estates, with brand and creative, the design, the PowerPoint decks, the designs for our proposals and anything else that we're creating. Now, everything that's in pink here doesn't naturally fit under the revenue organization, and it's unlikely that your CRO is going to have experience and the right credibility to lead this team. And this is often one of the reasons why the CMO should report directly up into the CEO, but with a dotted line into the CRO for this growth marketing, product marketing, and elements of content, comms, and the events that are also linked clearly into the revenue organization. As you scale out your team from 10 million ARR up to 30 million ARR, you'll have this kind of structure within your marketing team. Specifically on the revenue side of things, over on the yellow, you're going to have a number of team members that probably will link closely into your revenue operations and into your CRO organization. When we look at the sales org at a 30 million ARR business, it might look something like this. And now I've split it out here into domestic, whether that's you starting in the US or starting in Europe, and then international to account for new territories that you'll start to be selling into as you scale up to this level. Now, within your domestic market, you'll probably have 4 or 5 different VPs supporting each of their teams, and they'll likely be split out by the size of the customer that they're selling into: enterprise, mid-market, SMB. You'll probably have an SDR team. You might call them BDRs, there might be MDRs, but these are the teams that are doing that early outreach and qualification, and they'll be supporting across these 3 AE teams. And then you'll probably have a business development, alliances, or partner team that is opening up and enabling other routes to market outside of your direct channel. As you open up your first international markets, you probably build these under a separate hierarchy. We call it a GM, where that GM has responsibility for the end-to-end revenue system. So you'll have directors that are looking after AE teams and the SDR teams, but also they'll have the CSMs, maybe some sales engineers, and maybe a RevOps team that fit underneath that hierarchy. Your customer success org at 30 million R is scaling up rapidly as well. You'll now have this VP of customer success, and within them, you probably structure it built by the size of the customer in terms of their spend with your organization. So you'll have a small number of enterprise CSMs that will focus on maybe 2 to 10 customers. A mid-market that might look at customers spending a little bit below that, maybe up to 30 or 50 customers. And then you'll have a pool set of CSMs that are looking after a much larger set of customers, but on a reactive and on-demand basis. You might have an implementation team or onboarding team that fit within this CSM function. and then also a renewals manager that is picking up the commercial responsibility of these renewals. In the next section, we'll start to look at the jobs that need to be done as you scale this team up from the 100 people up to the 250 people in your organization.